Hello, welcome back to the podcast. This is episode 63. In this episode, I want to share 5 types of content that every wellness expert or health practitioner should be sharing. I am going to bang the drum for years to come on how important it is that you are, as an expert, showing up and sharing your expertise. One of the things that gets in the way of clients that I work with, of people that I speak to in the wellness industry, is a fear that if you give too much away, then people won't want to work with you. And I always come back to this brilliant saying, and I heard it from a guy called Jay Alderton. I've probably said it before on the podcast, and he said to me, people don't pay for information, they pay for implementation. And once you understand that, and it's one to write down and have on a post-it note by your desk, on your phone, in your notes, come back to time and time again, so that you're grounded in this one simple truth. And that is that people are coming to you as an expert, not for you to teach them a whole bunch of stuff, although that's part of the experience for sure, but to guide them, to take their hand and show them the steps that they need to take to get results. Because frankly, they cannot do it on their own, or they've tried and failed, or they're confused, or they're overwhelmed, or simply put, they need your help. So that's the implementation part that they're coming to you for. That's what the transaction is about. They need you to show them the linear steps, 1, 2, 3 to 5 or 10, whatever, how many steps it takes to get them from the challenge that they have right now, the symptoms they're experiencing, feeling lack of confidence, not being their ideal weight, struggling with certain symptoms, worrying about certain symptoms, to being free from all of that, having a clear plan to manage it and progressing, actually changing their life, experiencing a transformation. So if that's what people are paying you for, then let's not worry about sharing information. Let's make sure that you are sharing the right information that enables your ideal client to, when they find you, when they discover you for the first time, feel confident that you're the right person for them. That immediately when they consume your insight, when they see your practical tips and advice on social media or on your blog or on YouTube or a podcast or however you choose to share or convey your expertise, they immediately feel a connection. They immediately feel resourced. They immediately feel assured that you're the person that can help them to solve their problem. And quite frankly, in a world full of information, sharing your best stuff is the way to stand out. Don't be someone who shows up online and just shares vanilla, regurgitated stuff that everyone's heard over and over again a million times. Your job is to find creative ways to say the same thing over and over again, because once you're clear on your niche, and if you're not, jump over to my website, jump into my short courses, check out my shop page. I've got a short course that teaches you how to decide on your profitable niche in wellness. And once you have, you're going to be laser focused with the types of content that you're sharing online as I talk them through today. But remembering that knowing exactly what you're talking about and then being able to share information that is useful for your client, really useful and really practical, is what's going to build that trust. So, what are the 5 types of content that you should be sharing as a wellness expert on whatever platform you decide you want to show up on? The first is content that focuses on the symptoms that your ideal client is experiencing and why those symptoms are showing up. So I've talked about this on the podcast before, but I'll reinforce it again here. Most of the time, your ideal client is not aware that they have the problem that you can solve. Sometimes they are, and that's fantastic. That's someone who has recognized they have a problem and they're out there looking for a solution. And that person is much more likely to make a buying or purchasing decision a lot faster. Most people, when they find you and the algorithm presents you on their Instagram feed or YouTube or whatever, are watching and waiting to see whether what you have to share is relevant to them. And people make decisions about this very quickly. So as well as having content that focuses on the symptoms that your ideal client might be experiencing, I want you to get straight to the point with that sort of content. Do you have this symptom? Are you experiencing bloating? Are you worried about XYZ? Does your relationship look like this? Like those kind of hooks that show people the symptom that you're about to talk about. And then using that content to explain why those symptoms exist. When you can help someone to understand what the symptoms are, how they might manifest in their life, why those things aren't normal, and that there is a solution available to them that can change that, creates instant connection with your ideal client. And it won't resonate with everybody. And that's important. I want you to ask yourself whenever you're creating a piece of content, is this general and going to appeal to everyone? If that's the answer, then it's not focused enough. That's not a sign of a good piece of content. And I'm going to segue for a moment here, because if you are truly a wellness specialist, which is what is going to enable you to stand out in the wellness industry in 2023 and beyond, you need to be able to speak to a specific problem. If you are speaking to a specific problem and you are not sharing a mainstream message, then it is much less likely that your content is going to go viral. Okay? When you think about viral content, it's the type of content that millions of people around the world are going to watch and laugh at or cry at or be moved by or resonate with. And you're not in the business of needing millions of people to like and engage with your stuff right now. So the quicker you can get out of this mindset of my stuff needs to go viral, the quicker you will actually create content that connects with your audience. Viral content is for the masses, and you are not going to be for the masses. You're going to be for one selective group of people that you can help. And that might be people experiencing pre-diabetes or anxiety, or something even more specific like high functioning anxiety or a shoulder injury. Okay, these are not symptoms that everyone in the world is going to relate to. So your content needs to speak to that specific person. Breaking the habit of needing things to go viral is a really good shift to make now, so that you can focus on creating laser-focused, high-quality content for your audience. So, second type of content that paints a picture for your ideal client of possibility, of a bright future, of a future in which they no longer have to worry about waking up feeling a certain way, or looking in the mirror and feeling a certain way, or lacking a certain type of relationship or job opportunity, or whatever it is that you help them to achieve. Really thinking about what that is. They want to live in a world where they can do 15 pull-ups or run 10 kilometers or be able to do a 60-minute vinyasa yoga class without collapsing in a heap, and I'm being playful with this, but I want you to think about the outcome that you help your clients to achieve and create content that connects with that vision, that shows possibility, that shows what life will look like when it's different, when this is your ideal client's new reality. And sometimes we do this by sharing our own personal experience. For example, if you're an expert who teaches people about plant-based nutrition and you yourself live a plant-based lifestyle and you find it really easy and it's, really quick and you don't get stressed about how you're going to manage to create delicious meals and do it in an affordable way. Okay. Like you're living the dream, you're living with vitality and energy and, plant-based has changed your life. Then use your story to show that future possibility. You can also show future possibility through client testimonials. So showing that you've helped other people get to that ideal solution, but create content that paints a picture of possibility, what life could look like if you commit to making changes. Okay, and we'll come back to the client testimonial content in a moment because that's important too. The third type of content that I want you to get good at sharing is content that showcases your expertise, including sharing your unique strategies, sharing practical tips and insights, sharing things that will help your ideal client to move the needle. And this is where we need to forget about and, overcome any fear around giving too much away, and instead put your best stuff out there. If you haven't already, episode 60 is an interview with Sarah Almond Bushell. She is an incredible pediatric dietitian. And in that episode, Sarah talks about how she has always adopted this mindset that you should give your insight away, give your practical tips away. She works particularly with parents who have fussy eaters and helping them to understand how to create, children that love food, enjoy food, and also benefit from nutrition. And her social media content, her blog is full of advice. It's full of practical guides. It's full of step-by-step how to do it, because people aren't paying you for information. They're paying you to help them implement those things. So create content that gives people high quality solutions, high quality guides, practical tips, specific practical tips that hopefully they haven't heard anywhere else before, that will help to move them towards their goal. And in doing so, you will create trust. You will create a reputation in the market as someone who knows what they're talking about and who knows how to get results. And if I'm looking for support, someone to hold my hand through the journey, that is who I want to sign up with. Someone who I know I have a clear body of evidence that shows me knows how to get the result that I desire. Number 4, content that creates connection between you and your ideal client. So this can feel like a scary one. I know it can feel scary because when we talk about personal brand, it often means, I've got to put myself out there. I've got to share my life on social media. Yes and no, okay? You are allowed to have boundaries around this. I'll give you an example. I personally choose not to share my son's face on social media. I share occasional snippets of the back of him, but I never show his identity. I feel quite passionate about not sharing that because he's my little boy. He's, so precious to me, and I don't want to, that's a whole nother conversation, but I don't want to make that decision for him to put his face on the internet. That's a personal boundary for me. Can I still create connection with my ideal client? Absolutely. Can I still show that I love drinking coffee in the sun, that I value family time? Can I do that without showing my son's face? Yes. So I can share snippets of my personal life that I feel comfortable sharing in a way that works for me, that feels in integrity to me and feels authentic, without compromising on my own values around privacy and, what I'm happy to share and not to share. So get clear on what those boundaries are, and then find a way to create personal connection with your audience. It might be a few times a week, jumping on stories and showing your face on Instagram. Showing your face is the most powerful way to create connection with your ideal client. When you might be watching this on YouTube, equally you might be listening to it as a podcast. If you didn't know you could watch the podcast on YouTube, now you do. But if you're watching this on YouTube, you're going to feel much more connected to me than if you were reading this as a transcript, if it was a blog, which could have been written by anybody. Until deep fakes start taking over the internet and using my face, you know that when I'm speaking to you on a video, it is coming from me. It's coming from my heart. It's coming from, my passion and my mission to help you to build a profitable business as a wellness expert. You can hear in the tone of my voice, I love doing this work. And so creating personal connection starts with finding your boundaries around what sharing personal parts of you means. It might be sharing your health story as it relates to the work that you do, but not sharing anything about where you live or where you go on the weekend. That's still personal connection. But I would invite you to start thinking about working through any fear that you might have about showing your face on video. And maybe I'll record a whole other podcast about how I have become comfortable with sharing my face online, because although it might feel like it comes really naturally to me, I can assure you The first time that I ever showed up on a video on social media, my hands were sweating, my heart was pounding. I think I probably filmed it 57 times before I put it live. And it was a process, a journey of becoming comfortable with that. So again, it's not going to be easy necessarily, but it can be very simple if you know how to do it. The fifth type of content before we bring this episode to a close is content that showcases proof, specifically social proof, that you can get results. Social proof is often just another way of saying testimonials or client feedback, and there are so many ways to gather social proof. I'll give you a few examples. You might communicate with your client over WhatsApp, and let's say they send you a message that says something like, "Hi Lauren, just wanted to say that today's session was unbelievable. I feel so focused. I feel so excited about the future. I feel so clear on what I need to do. And I had this aha moment this afternoon that I know is going to change my whole relationship with food or exercise or whatever." Okay. So imagine that message comes through to you. Take a screenshot of that message, anonymize it, text your client back and say, "Hey, this is such kind feedback. Would you be happy if I hid your name and shared this on social media? Because I want more people to feel like you're feeling, and I want to show them possibility that this could be their reality. Would you be okay with that?" I love the idea of asking for permission, although, if you're anonymizing things, personally, I feel like that's a pretty fair way of sharing if nothing personal is being compromised, but you do what feels right for you. I think that can be the most powerful mechanism to get somebody in your audience into action, sharing takeaways from your client's success, showing that you get the results that you say that you're going to get. It's one thing for you to talk about the results that you get for clients, and it's a whole other level of reinforcement and confirmation and validation when somebody else talks about the results that you have got for them. There's a whole episode on getting testimonials from your clients. It's episode 49, and it's called Why Your Clients Aren't Giving You Testimonials and How to Change That. So listen to that if you want to understand how to get amazing social proof and leverage that social proof in your business. That brings us to the end of this episode. 5 fantastic examples of content that you should be sharing as a wellness expert. The last point I want to make before I conclude is this. Make sure that every time you are sharing valuable content that we've talked about in this episode, that you have a clear call to action. There are 3 typical calls to action that I would encourage you to point your clients to or point your audience to. And I teach these calls to action inside my signature program, Consistent Clients. The first is directing them to book a call with you. Now, I don't want you to do this all the time because it is not the best way to warm somebody up. But there will be people who are seeing your content, resonating with it, and ready to take that step. So it's a good idea to share that as an option. The second call to action that I encourage you to provide for your clients is a link to your program, the program that you sell. Now, if you don't have a signature program that you sell, again, that is something I help my clients to create, but having the details of that on a dedicated landing page or page of your website is important. It is the lifeblood of your business. It's your service. So point people in the direction of that information page so that they can understand more about how to work with you. And the third call to action would be, in an ideal world, if you have your marketing system set up, would be to point people in the direction of some free, valuable resource that they need to exchange their name and email address in order to access, so that they are becoming a captured lead to which you can then send that free resource, to whom you can then build a connection with that you can nurture over time and ultimately turn into a paying client. So sharing great content is one thing. Having some simple calls to action or simple links that you direct your audience to at the end of that content is what is going to make that content even more leveraged and more valuable in your business as you work towards building a profitable online business as a wellness expert, which is my goal for you. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, I always appreciate your feedback. Come over and connect with me on social media. Check out the show notes for any links that I may have mentioned and to access my free mini course, The Booked Out Wellness Expert. Until next time, take care, and I'll see you again very soon.